Maybe you have very good intentions. You are a very kind person. You go out of your way to help the people around you in some way. But somehow, despite all your efforts, do you feel that you don't get the respect you deserve? You are experiencing the biggest problem that polite people and kind people experience. Unfortunately, today's world doesn't respect polite people, nice people very much. Some of the things that we do for the good of other people, can be interpreted as being a loser, especially in that dominant world system. And I want to tell you about some things that you should pay attention to in order to be a little bit aware of these things and to protect ourselves and to be a more respected person. The first behavior that is interpreted by other people as being a loser is apologizing too much, even though it is done with good intentions. Maybe you are very afraid of offending other people. You think, I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to break anyone's heart. But unfortunately, this is not how it is perceived from the outside. If you are a person who apologizes 20 to 30 times a day, if you walk around with a sign that says, I apologize even for the inconvenience I caused, of course, figuratively speaking, other people will say that you don't have confidence in yourself, and that I won't have confidence in you because you don't have confidence in yourself. They think, maybe realizing, maybe unconsciously, that you don't deserve respect. And then, when you apologize so many times, it can even be made into something to make fun of by some people. Unless what you did was really bad, unless you really hurt someone, please don't apologize unnecessarily. Every unnecessary apology will take away a piece of your dignity, and you will be perceived as a loser. We face many problems during the day. Many people may ask us questions. We may have to explain things in some way, but the ratio of the words we use here is so important. Think of it like this. You have to explain something. Someone said to you, I will even give a very simple example. Someone on the road asked you for an address. You somehow explained it in 3 to 5 reasonable sentences. There is no problem here, but when you sit down and try to explain an issue in 30 to 40 sentences or 50 sentences, people interpret this as weakness. People interpret this as incompetence, inexperience. As I said, in business life, in school life, you need to use the ideal level that you can explain. Making too many explanations, talking too much, somehow explaining yourself over and over again will be interpreted as weakness from the other side. Why? Because it says that people's mental mechanisms, sometimes the person is not even aware of it. If he is explaining so much, probably this person doesn't believe in what he is saying and doesn't believe in himself. Why should I believe him? So it is useful to reduce the unnecessary words we use a little bit. I think what we call sacrifice is one of the most beautiful virtues in the world. But if a person sacrifices too much to the people around him, if he sacrifices even to those who do evil to him, without discriminating between good and bad, if he sacrifices even to those who do evil to him, if he continues to make those who use him still use him, there is a situation like this. Do you know how you are perceived by others? You are doing all these things, perhaps with a serious effort, but the man outside thinks of it like this. If he is putting it out there without me asking for it, there is much more to it than that. That's why those rare stones that you put forward, maybe you plucked them from somewhere very deep inside and put them forward by suffering. He treats them like pebbles. So you have to sacrifice for the deserving. If the other person is a malicious person, if the other person is using you, making unnecessary sacrifices will cause that person, those people to use you. When someone compliments you or says something nice or compliments you, can't you accept the praise or the compliment? Do you make too many explanations to somehow deny it or somehow devalue it? This is unfortunately interpreted as being a loser in the real world. Maybe you think you're being humble, maybe you think you're being nice, but unfortunately the real world doesn't interpret it that way. Let's say someone likes your outfit, likes your hair, says to you, "Oh, that outfit is so beautiful." You immediately go into an explanation. You say, "I bought it from the market for $5, or you had your hair done. It's beautiful." You immediately say, "Well, I just happened to have it done." You show a good achievement. You show a good thesis. When someone praises you, you say, "Well, it just happened. Our teacher suggested it, and it was because of this." You never accept praise. If you never accept praise, after a while people think that you really don't deserve that praise. So if someone praises you, please accept it. Some people don't want to do anything alone. They want someone to be with them all the time, even for things that sometimes seem very easy. They want to go to the hospital or somehow go to the hairdresser, go to the movies, apply for a job, always have someone with them. Of course, it is natural not to want to be alone in some situations, but if you are always dependent on someone, after a while it is as if people interpret you as an immature person who is not mature enough to do anything alone. One of the most important conditions for a person to be perceived as strong is to be able to do things on your own, to be able to do things without other people. And if you can do that, you are seen as strong, you are seen as a more respectable person. Maybe it's because you expect attention that you complain about everything. You're always in a whiny mood. You're always complaining to people about every problem in your life. If the content of these conversations always consist of you complaining about something, if your conversations with people always consist of conversations in which you complain about life in a way that you complain about your lover, your spouse, your job, your money situation, after a while people start to get bored with your conversation. I can tell you this. Of course you will worry. Of course you will vent. But if this is your only agenda, it is both a pity for the other person and a pity for you. Especially in romantic relationships, putting someone at the center of your life is a very serious problem. I see a situation like this in women and sometimes in men. Someone will come into my life, and then everything in my life will be complete. Somehow I will be complete after that. Unfortunately, this is not realistic. You exist with yourself. You exist as an individual. Of course, the relationships you establish socially, romantically, will enrich your soul. But if you are always dependent on other people for your own existence, do you know what happens? People get bored with you again, as I just said, and people who are dependent, people who put other people at the center of their lives, are afraid of being abandoned. But they overwhelm those people so much, they cling to them so much that unfortunately most of the time what they are afraid of happens to them. You have to accept your own existence as an individual. Of course, we need other people, but other people should never be indispensable for you. There is a saying, if you were an angel, they would be disturbed by the sound of your wings. No matter what you do, no matter how much you try your best to please other people, some people, even some of the people to whom you have done a lot of good, will criticize you. But if you break down in the face of criticism, if you are always trying to prove yourself, trying to explain yourself, that prevents you from being a respectable person, unfortunately, people don't respect you again. Unfortunately, the more successful you are, the more criticism you will receive, the more negative comments you will receive. Sometimes it is necessary to meet these with maturity, but if you respond to every criticism, if you somehow try to respond even to a person who is not in your lane, not in your class, you end up falling to the quality of the person you are responding to. That's why you really need to respond to the criticisms of the people you really need to respond to, the people with whom you really benefit from being in contact. You need to listen to the criticisms of those people. But if you have an answer for everything, after a while you will realize that people don't respect you as much as they used to. As I said, man is an individual being. Sometimes he has to make his own decisions on his own. But if you always seek the approval of the people around you in every step you take, in every work you do, maybe even in a pair of shoes, a pair of socks, people start not respecting you again, because in their minds something like, this person cannot do anything on his own, so somehow he is not a very intelligent person, or somehow he is not a person who has the power to manage his life. If you don't want to create that, you have to do something on your own. Of course, sometimes you can make mistakes. Sometimes things may not go the way you want, but that's part of life. It is very, very natural. Don't be afraid to do something on your own. It's okay to get approval once in a while, but if it becomes the center of your life, it's a problem. So, my dear friend, have you experienced behaviors in your daily life that are misunderstood by other people or interpreted as losers, even though you normally have very good intentions? Have you experienced them in some way? You can share them with us in the comments section. Thank you for listening to me, beautiful person. Be very good to yourself. See you soon.